Welcome back to Talkers on the Wall. It's just me this time. Schmitty was supposed to get here, but he's unavailable today. So we're just going to be covering the first 4 episodes of The Boys right now. A lot has happened because we are starting with a review of the first 4 episodes. So there's going to be a lot to cover, but I'm going to try and basically, run it really quickly through my main thoughts on the show and the vibes for this season. I don't want to do too in-depths on each episode. Just because there are 4 of them and we're getting into it kind of late. So this is more of the catch-up game. But to get into it, I think this season so far has been decently strong. Definitely not as weak as some people are claiming. I don't think the writing is that hammy. It's not that degenerate, so to say. I enjoy Kimiko talking. It's kind of funny at some point. Sometimes, it's just the dialogue maybe isn't all the way there. But I think it's totally fine. The Starlight Huey dynamic is still a little odd, I think, but by the end of the last episode, which is episode 4, I think they're really starting to mend it. What I was most surprised about was Butcher coming back into the fold so soon. By the end of the last season, I totally thought it was going to be Butcher was going to be on a side quest the whole time, just working on his own. I was kind of excited for that perspective, so a little bit disappointed. He basically just regrouped with everybody right away. I get it's the last season. They want to get the whole, crew back together, essentially. And I do like seeing them all back together. The dynamic is so different that it doesn't really give you, vibes of the first season, in my opinion. You got Butcher kind of being crazy soup now. Everybody nobody really liked Butcher that much before except for Huey maybe, but now everybody's kind of actively working against him. The relationships that were kind of being defined are now just solidly built. So Kimiko and Frenchie are super strong. I think Mother's Milk maybe is lacking in the department to where, at least within these first 4 episodes, he hasn't been with his family at all. So that whole side of his character hasn't really been, we haven't been able to touch on that too much, but I think he's still a valuable core as Butcher's right-hand man, essentially, even though Butcher is still crazy. And what they're going for, I think, in this final season is basically drawing a line between, soups and humans, because obviously Butcher wants to get essentially the Scourge virus, but for soups instead of Viltrumites, and just wipe them all out. Mother's Milk is starting to lean in that direction, whereas obviously Huey, Kimiko, Frenchie, and Starlight are all kind of meh. Starlight is actually more so on the side of Butcher, so it kind of makes it a 3v3, whereas Huey, Frenchie, and Kimiko obviously don't want all the soups to die. They want their friends to live. Kimiko doesn't want to die, obviously. Huey wants Starlight to live, so he even wants Butcher to live, which is kind of surprising after all this. But so they're really going with that Civil War direction, in my opinion. But I am also really liking that they brought back Soldier Boy. When I first heard that he was coming back, I was unsure about how it was going to be handled. But I think it's being handled really well. Watching the relationship between Homelander and Soldier Boy develop between these last 4 episodes has been super interesting. There was definitely a lot more to get out of those 2 characters, so it definitely was not a bad thing that they brought back. Especially in this last episode, episode 4, you get to really see how much resentment Soldier Boy really has for Homelander and how crazy Homelander is really going with his, God complex. He's really the new Church of America or whatever. He's the prophet of God now, essentially. What else? There's also the vice president. I can't remember the character's name right now, but her getting everybody was kind of theorizing what her power would be. People were kind of thinking it would be hair related, but actually she just got the face that can read minds, essentially, which is kind of makes sense because she always had she was always Two-Faced kind of throughout the show, and she always had that voice in the back of her head, kind of talking to her. The Deep and Noir are here, obviously. They're more characters to the side. I don't care about them too much, especially the Deep. I feel we've kind of ran our course with him There's nothing more to be done with that character. Noir is interesting. I know at the start of the season, people were like, "Oh, it's a different Noir now. He's not talking at all. Like maybe it's da 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 da." And then episode 4, we see that's clearly not the case. There are a few plot lines where I'm like, meh, like that. For example, whatever they're calling it, V1, I think, is like, the first super serum, basically, so much more potent that the virus doesn't affect it. I'm like, yeah, it's not like a crazy retcon or anything like that. I just don't think it's... kind of makes the story a little less interesting that they just have this, like, Hail Mary or Deus Ex Machina, essentially, where they are able to save some soups, maybe. It really kind of takes away from the choice of use the virus or don't use the virus, because before that was really like we're going to kill all of our friends, but we're going to save all of humanity type of thing, to where it's now like, oh, we can save our friends and save humanity. There's no sacrifice. Yay! So I hope that they end up finding, like, there's no V1 left, like, they have to make that decision again. I'd be more satisfied with that, rather than them getting it. Even though I love characters, like Starlight, Kimiko, even Butcher. I do like Butcher as a character. I wouldn't want him to die necessarily, even though he's becoming way more of a prick. Ryan, he seems like he could be kind of cool. Like, maybe grow up to be like a good guy, maybe troubled kid. I don't know. There's a lot that could happen. But I do want the decision to where it feels like a tough decision. I don't want them to have an easy out. I feel like that takes away from the sacrifice, So yeah, I think overall right now, out of the 4 episodes, I'd give the season I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. It's hard to say right now. Each episode is like different on the scale. But I would definitely recommend people who have already, like, seen The Boys to, like, if you're seeing things online and you're not sure if you want to check it out, definitely give it a shot. The writing is still there. Maybe not as good as it was, but it is still good. Speaking of which, can't believe I haven't touched on this yet. The ending to A-Train's character was super great. I love that they had him avoid the woman to kind of, like, stop. Really parallels that first very episode where he just ran straight through Huey's girlfriend. Really shows that he's just changed as a character and he's not the same man that he used to be. He really redeemed himself in the end. I thought that was great. They really sent his character off, like, properly. I'm glad they didn't just keep him around, that they were like, oh, he's like a really cool character, we'll just keep him alive. I'm glad that they're like, his character's done, let's get rid of him, let's kill him. Not because I wanted his character to die, but because I didn't want his character to become diluted if they kept him throughout the whole season. Other than that, a few things of, like, there's a lot of, like, Gen V references. I didn't personally watch Season 2. I kind of didn't realize that the Season 2 was airing when it was, so I just didn't watch it. I might go back and rewatch it now. Maybe we'll make some videos on that to recap how it affects The Boys. But really, so far, it's just been, like, placeholders for names, essentially. It hasn't been affecting the main plot. The characters from Gen V haven't made an appearance in these first 4 episodes, so I'm not even sure if they will. So not totally concerned. If you haven't seen Gen V, you do not need to see this. I was kind of surprised about that, considering that the Gen V characters really came into play in the last episode of the last season. I thought they were going to become a lot more interwoven, but clearly that's not the case. Just another kind of like Marvel TV show syndrome, where if you want to understand one thing, you got to go and watch this other thing. Not so much the case here, only in the smallest of aspects. But otherwise, show's going good so far. Stay tuned. Let us know what you guys think. Now that we're kind of caught up on these 4 episodes, we're going to be diving into the episodes, bit by bit from now on. So we'll go over episode 5 when it comes out, 6, 7, up until the season ends. I'm really looking forward to how they're going to end the show. I think that if they stick the landing, this could be like one of the top 10 shows that maybe they've put out, at least for Amazon, for sure. top 5 for sure for Amazon. Very good show. Definitely give it a try. Don't listen to, all the negativity online. Watch it, judge for yourself. I think it's standing on its own 2 feet. But let us know what you think.